So welcome to part 33. So we'll start where we left off before. This is the pedal rollerboard for the organ, and it has now all been stripped down and the rollers repainted and all necessary bushings replaced, and there's now freedom of movement, whereas they were all kind of stuck. The last thing you want is you press a pedal, the coupler operates and the note sticks. So we'll just take a different angle here. There's one of the bushings that's been redone. So probably only had to do 15% of the bushings, but you never know, another one might fall out during assembly and we'll have to do that in situ. So that will get installed under the knee jam probably later today. This isn't all we've done though, we've also put the 15th in the organ. So I've balanced the torch up here, otherwise you wouldn't see it. Although there's a lot of lights in here, it's quite dingy because of the size of the case and so on. Even with that end piece still not in, and when the panelling's in this organ, it's going to be, or should I say panelling on the organ. So there's the 15th, and you'll see there's a few tools here at the C end. I've not bothered putting those bottom 6 pipes in because I just wouldn't be able to physically get onto the passage board, and I know I've got to put the pins in the swell shutters, and the material to do that has arrived yesterday, so that's a job, because at the moment the swell shutters is only the top and bottom one actually going anywhere. So brand new 15th, it's been tuned, and there is we've done a tiny bit of regulation, some obvious ones, but there's going to be a bit more. I think we'll go downstairs. We've not dealt with whimpers yet on this soundboard. There's going to be one or two of those still, but it wasn't until we got all the pipes in that we'd know which ones wanted dealing with and so on. So we'll go downstairs, put the wind on, and let's have a listen to the regulation. And there's the pipes which we're not putting in at this stage. I'm going to have to kind of put them in and get myself out. That's what comes of being too fat to get in. I don't think people were 18.5 stone in 1865 when this was built. Right, so one of the last things we're going to be doing, we can have all the chairs and everything in this building, all the benches out, before we start messing about with putting the newly engraved inserts in. Wonder where that one's gone. Oh, you think it's there? No, that's one. That one. Right. So these need to be glued in, which is done with the animal glue. I mean, it was absolute swine steaming them off, which was necessary to do the bushings. So we've got open diapason 8 foot, the bell gamba at 8 foot. We've got stop diapason bass, stop diapason treble, principal 4 4-foot flute, and this is the 15th 2, which in 1920 was removed and the Dulciana put on, and of course we've just had this 15th made, and that's what we're doing. So we are going to get some whimpers, but not that bad actually. It's probably only about 3, and we'll just have to puncture the calico on the soundboard to relieve that pressure. It's just one of those things that happens. You're getting air going the wrong side of the pallet, and that even happens when you've repalleted an organ, and we've done the swell keyboard and there was a couple there. Right, so what we do, and this is full compass apart from the fact we haven't put those 6 in, full compass meaning all the 56 notes of the keyboard. I found that, was it C? Now that D is slightly too loud, and so we'll go up and we'll quieten that by reducing the size of the hole in the toe. I've shown you this on previous videos, and conversely, if it's too quiet, we can just put a pointer in, an awl, and into that toe hole and just open it up that fraction. So the way this is done, you'll hold a chord and we'll run up, and you'll hear something that shouts out or disappears in that chord. G's too quiet. Now, on its own, you wouldn't notice that. C sharp is too loud. Mildly too quiet on the G sharp. It's only those 2 or 3 notes. The top ones, quite adequate. So yeah, we've done the tuning on this. It's going to have to be retuned because just your body easy enough to shift it out. But it does now give us the 16 foot on the board on the swell, which could give us this interesting effect, especially if I pull the right coupler out. Oh yeah. And G sticks as soon as I do a demonstration. So we've got a lovely tinkling. Is that the action? Is it the key? We'll find out. Anyway, so that's something we can now do with the 15th. So I'll take that coupler off. So our chorus build up, and this is going to overload the camera's microphone. So if we do any recordings, which I expect we will do, on this organ, the camcorder we use will have been specially set up, probably with separate microphones, so there isn't distortion. So you are going to get distortion. So this gamba, which is absolutely beautiful, is the bass. I'll tell you what, we'll use the bass on the swell. Bass, which is what you're supposed to use. You know, I'll just start again. The bell gamba on this organ and with the left hand on the same keyboard, the stop down bass and bass is a bit loud for the bell gamba. Board on as an 8-foot flute. Which of course you can do, you just shift up an octave. So you say, oh, he's only got 4 stops on the swell, but no. So if we then pulled out the 8-foot, we've got the equivalent of 4-foot. If we pull out the 4-foot, we've now got the equivalent of 2-foot. So, you know, you can do other things than what stops you've got. So, back on to the grade, the stop diapason on its own is absolutely charming. This is a wooden one. So your open diapason, if there was only one stop on an organ in the UK, it would be an open diapason. This does differ from country to country, but in Britain that's what it would be. And it's 4-foot equivalent, played with the 8. So we're building up that chorus as it's called. Add the 15th. So let's listen to that build up again. We've got the 8-foot. Without the 15th. And the 16th. So it does build up nicely, and it's not so loud that we couldn't use it with the opposite chorus, which would be, we'll just put on the open diapason, which is those 2. The 4-foot flute, which is its 4-foot equivalent, which is a lovely sound. And again, we can add the 15. And there's a bit of stringiness. So it's certainly getting there, and that's the sound we now got. We've now got with the organ. The bit of regulation to do on that, but that will be done in 20 minutes. It's neither here nor there. So once the pedal coupler's in, got all those trackers to put in underneath. So at the moment all we've got is the swell pedal and, well, there's two composition pedals, but the right hand one's not in its slot yet. We've got the coupler action's got to go in underneath. That's something which we might start tomorrow, and then it's a matter of getting the pedal board out of storage. I'll put that on this work table. Will be the final chunk that's on the table here. Once that pedal board's done, it's probably a week's work. All the tables and machines and everything can go away. We can turn it from being a workshop back into what the building was built for. So there we go. That's the so far so good bit. The final chunk really, before we can clear the benches away and actually put this building into use, is this pedal board. So all the pedals have to come out. You can see the wear on these, and we'll go through what has to happen to every pedal board. They're all much of a muchness. It's a 30-note pedal board. It's C to F, which is the standard for the UK. I know it's 32 in America. And this organ originally would have had a 25-note pedal board, so it would have been C to C. In 1919, 1920, when it moved to its location we bought the pipe organ from, it had been changed. So that's why it's on pneumatic action, which I've explained before in previous parts. Originally it would have been mechanical action. So we're going to start stripping it down by taking off the toe piece and the heel piece. What should now happen is I should be able to just take out the pedals. This is like an hour later taking the screws out, because some of them were quite difficult, as you can well imagine. Though this was overhauled in 85, so it's not as bad as if it had never been touched. And bearing in mind this is the 1920 pedal board. Heel. Good grief, I'm going to have to get a mallet to these. Right, we'll come back to that in a bit. So as you can see, all the pedals are out, everything's off, and all the old felt is out. So this felt is glued and nailed down to there. It looks like compressed horsehair, to be honest, that one. So we'll be replacing that. And then the felt which went through these pins is clearly moth-eaten. So that'll go on the fire, and I've been making a replacement. The holes are actually punched, just not all the bits are through at the moment. Just used the old one as a template and went through with a wad punch. So that will go on there. What I'm waiting for is the steamer, because this was glued down across here and it's just left a bit of this material behind. I just want to steam that off, and then we'll glue and put about 3 or 5, probably 5 tacks in there just to hold it. So that's where we are with it, totally stripped down, all cleaned, because the last thing you want is moth eggs in the corners. So it's been cleaned and vacuumed. All these pins I've gone over with sandpaper, and just before I put the new felt on here, in fact I can do that right now, we'll be putting a bit of grease on, ordinary grease. Just a matter of doing that to stop corrosion. May as well do the rest of that row. We'll be doing those pins at the top as well. So that's the procedure. So I'm saying all this because some of you will be interested in amateur organ building, and there's lots of times that people who don't do this as a job overlook the fact, oh, the pedal board's all right, we'll just shove it in. And no, everything needs to be overhauled. You don't want to miss anything. So that's why I'm showing you these procedures. What we'll then be doing is going into when we get onto the pedals themselves, we'll go into the workshop, put them in the vise, plane them down, and they get white polish. So the edges of this, which show, we'll just get a coat of French polish just to neaten it up a bit. It's not scratched or anything, but we will just put a coat of French polish on, and on the bits here that show. I'm not going to huge trouble to get rid of these paint splats. A lot of these have come off with the with cleaning it, but it's all part of it. I don't want to do over restoration. Otherwise I may as well build a new organ. So we're in one of the other workshops to use the big vise on a big bench, and the idea is this is C, top C, so this is pedal 25. I've already done the rest. Started at the top, so this is the 5th, isn't it? Or 6th or something like that. Anyway, what we have to do is to plane what we're looking for is where now what we don't want to do is to plane so low that it makes the organ difficult to play. So we have a bit of wear there. Now my job is to be planed flat. I know there's different schools of thought. Some people have a bit of an arch on it, but the way our training was, which goes back to Willis, was it's flat, and then there's an angle there and an angle there. So we've got a little bit of wear just there when I've done that, because I've only taken a fraction off. I'm just going to sand that out. And as you see, when I get to one which needs some work doing, we'll come back to camera and we'll cut it out and we'll let in a new piece. So there's the pedal board frame. So it's been cleaned, it's had both the toe felts changed, it's had the heel felt changed, that was a pedal on the floor. The toe piece that goes on the top, there's a tape on there which is fine, and we're going to be gluing a new felt on top of that. Having taken the old, you see how I think it's compressed horsehair. It's so horrible, I don't want to touch it. So those pieces will be glued and tacked into that position. So I'm just waiting for the glue pot to heat up. As ever, we're using the animal glue so it can be reversed and steamed off in the future. And then it's a matter of carrying on planing down those pedals and putting a couple of coats of polish on. If we come up to any which need repiecing, we'll show you about that. So far I haven't. So there we are. If you wonder why it's propped up on the grease pot at this end, I've just put a coat of polish on the heel of the pedal board. The rest of it got done piecemeal as it was being dealt with. So the inside and outside, both left and right, or shall we say bass and treble. This is refelted, that's refelted, straps sanded down, repainted. To the screws where the word is knackered, and I put the 2 new ones to the top. So there we are. We are going to start putting pedals in, and they do need to have a coat of polish on, so that's going to be another slow process. Right folks, well it's starting to take shape, isn't it? We've actually got probably 2/3 of them in now. So we'll carry on. They've all been, no, 2 haven't. Now, this one There is a little bit of wear. It's only 1mm, so I haven't re-pieced it. Could do, but I haven't done. Now if this was a church job, they'd have been given an option as to whether they wanted it re-piecing or they want to retain that little bit of wear. But to be honest, this was overhauled in 85 and previously in 68. So I'm not thinking that between 85 and 2010 when we bought it, it's probably not had the thousands of hours it would have had, say, in the 1920s or the 1930s, when the chapel may have well had services every day and 5 on a Sunday. So I don't think they're going to get the wear that they're used to. But the whole idea is what you don't want is for the organ to press a pedal and it goes down so far that you're actually pressing the 2 black notes. So we've still got 3/4 of an inch at least before you would hit those black notes. One of the organs I play is like that, and so you kind of got to press the pedal with the side of your foot. Mind you, it's only got 13 of them. It's a little Bevington chancel organ at Wilsford, otherwise known as Scratchy Corner. So we'll put a bit more work into it. I've spent 5 hours on this today, and that's what you get. Right, so we've got to the next stage. All the pedals are in, as you can see. So the next thing is a heel guard goes in. What this stops happening is the pedals jumping out of the pins. So I've re-felted it. This moth-eaten felt came off, but I've got to put some holes where the screws go through. So we're going to burn those through. You've seen me do this before. So I'm going to heat up my phosphor bronze wire. You love the smell of the burning felt. So I'll just go through those again, widen the holes. Right, so we've now put in this the grate to pedal coupler on this organ. As I keep saying, it only has a grate to pedal, it doesn't have a swell to pedal, which is quite unusual, but some organs are like this. There's a Forster Andrews at Barkston not too far away, which also doesn't, and of course that's partly because they have a Tennessee swell. 2 out of the 4 stops are Tennessee. So that's where we are. So the alignment, the new buttons and cloths, but the alignment is exactly as they were before. You'll notice there's one missing there. There's nowhere for it to go, so presumably it either goes straight through to the pedal board. Sometimes they do that, or it goes onto a supplementary roller somewhere else. So we are getting there. You'll notice one composition pedal isn't in. They just slot in, and I don't know where that other one is, but it won't be lost. That's something that can go in at the end. Now the other thing I've done is I finally had to find the screw which was missing from the pedal board arrive. So the final screw was there, so that enables me now to put the heel piece on. So what we're going to do is to put this table up to the pedal board, and we're going to put the touch box and make sure there's all these brackets and things which aren't on at the moment are fitted and it all marries up properly. What I don't want to do is be crouching on the floor doing that. We'll do it on the bench. So that's our next task. A few days later, as you can see, we're making progress putting all these attachments back and these hooks that will marry up with the mechanical coupler action. So just got a few more of these to go. What I have had to do is, for some reason, I'm a hook short. So I've actually took this a length of this out of some of the mechanical action on the keys. So I've reused that, put the screw threads on using the tap we use for the normal tracker wires and hopefully bent it to the right thing. So those need putting in. So we'll put, see where we're looking at with the camera. So I need to put this one in. These don't have to be level at all because there's plenty of adjustment in the coupler mechanism. It adjusts either at 3 or 4 points. So it gives good latitude for, I'd like that in a bit further. So let's see whether we can screw this one in. So it's a bit unique thread to organ building. There we go. That's another job done. So we've just got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these to go. So I'm having to straighten them out in the vise and then fitting them. Right, I've made a rather expensive decision. So I'm just looking how the touch box, which operates a pneumatic action for the pedals, marries up to the pedal board. As you know, I spent quite a lot of time and about £300 in parts remaking this so that it's more reliable. And the way this works, it turns out, is these metal things, that's the word, you've got some felt pads, which they're falling off. And they're coming off anyway. And they push up against the wires, which are fitted with little wooden things with the felt on them. And what happens is that these are normally closed like that. When you press a pedal, they're released, and when you release the pedal, that's pushed down. So to set this, once you've got this in position and you marry the two together, you're going to be adjusting very carefully in the restricted space. We'd do it on a bench, and then two of us would carry it to the organ and install it. Then you're going to be adjusting these exactly just so the metal extensions keep them down. Well, can you see a problem? I can see a problem. What a Mickey Mouse arrangement. So, perhaps if these were made of steel and didn't have any give in them, but you can imagine that over a period of time you've got the felt compressing and you're totally reliant on every one of these pushing down simultaneously to close off the air and then them releasing. No, sorry, it isn't a good enough system. I've wasted my time, I've wasted my money. So we'll put that on one side. What we're going to do is put the pedal section on electric action. Forget that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to make up bar to run across, and we'll use reed switches and magnets. And we could use contacts. We could use, I mean, I think these are, you know what, I think these are supposed to be for electric contact use. We could use electric contacts. I like magnetic switches, and you haven't got anything to get dirty. So this video will now end. I will order the magnets, and the special electromagnets, which are effectively an air valve, which do exactly what that touch box was doing. And what happens is they simply mount on the baseboard. So what we got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We've got 13 on one side and 12 on the other, and you've got that supplementary chest. They simply mount on the baseboard. I wouldn't think there's going to be any problem. We'll probably have to delete the, which is left over from when it was mechanical action. We'll probably have to take those out because you won't get the magnets in easily, because the magnets have got to go between the pull down gaps. We'll work something out anyway. So all will be revealed in about a month's time. We'll do the next part and we'll have those pedals in and playing. So I'm just not having that kind of Mickey Mouse arrangement. I know they had to work on it in 1985, and I've had to work on it again, and think, no, I'd rather cut my losses at this point and we'll put it on electric action. And it makes it interesting because this organ in 1865 was mechanical action on the pedals. In 1920 was put on pneumatic action, and now in 2023 it's going to go on electric action. So it'll have had all three types of action on this organ on the pedals, and hopefully it'll be a satisfactory outcome. Having said that, it's been pneumatic for 100 years. So there we go. So we end this part. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Had a little demonstration, haven't you, as to what the footages do. And I'm pleased with the progress of the instrument, other than this pedal section. All we've got to do is the pedals and paint the panels. Thanks for watching.